Hey guys, we are back at the house and quite a bit has been going on here, but I have also been busy. I have been shopping, getting us nice things. In this episode, we'll take you along on the shopping trips. We're also talking numbers, not just the numbers that we purchased the property for, but how money is being spent right now. I'll be sharing how I feel about the project and I'll be showing you the backyard and the apartment, which y'all have been asking about. I'm Kelly Johnley and this is Bajan Renovation. Call it an occupational hazard, but I take a lot of pictures. If you ever go anywhere with me, you know that my camera is rarely far behind. So the great thing is that the other day I was looking through for something for a client and I came across the first images that I ever took of this property. Boy, we have come a long way. I've started to reframe what I've been saying. The renovation didn't get out of hand, it has escalated. Okay, why I say escalated is because when I went to the bank for the final disbursement and I saw what I gave the bank on paper as the improvements we were making to the property compared to what we're actually doing now, I'm grateful that they still speak to me here. But for those of you who may have forgotten, or for those of you who are new here, let's do a quick tour of the property with all the before and after room comparisons so you can see how far we've come. Then I'm going to tell you what's going on here now and we'll show you, and we're discussing some money. I find that whenever I'm speaking about money, it's easier to sit down, especially when you find that you're spending more money than you would normally even make in a year in a short window of time. You know, it helps to be close to the ground. So let's talk about numbers, and I'll give you all the numbers I would have shared before just to bring you up to speed. I paid $190,000 for this property. It was listed at $250,000. So that means the list price, what the owner wanted to sell it for, purchase price $190,000. When I went to the bank, it was with the request for $80,000 for improvements, which they granted. So all in, the bank has lent me $270,000, or should I say they agreed to, before the deposit, $270,000 was the all-in price. I can't remember what my deposit was. I think it was 10%, but that just gives you a sense of what we're working with in terms of what I borrowed. My mortgage payment for this property is, I think, $1,250, around there. It's $1,200 and something. So when I was looking at the property, there were three things that stood out to me, and I'd always tell people this is a little guidepost. You can take it or leave it. You can fix a property, but you can't move it. So always remember that you are choosing your location. The landmark I share for this property is that it's near St. Winifred's School, which is great for me because I like to live in a central area. I like to live near where my daughter goes to school and where my family is and where most of the activities that I participate are. So I thought that was a great place to get into the neighborhood. Another thing that I am often interested in, and this does not have to be for you if your home is a primary home, is if I was to sell it, what would it sell for? Now, people talk about your home being your greatest investment. Listen, I think that really sets people in the wrong frame of mind. Your primary home is your biggest financial commitment. So unless you're looking to resell a property at some point, your home does not need to feel like an investment to you. It is your biggest financial commitment. But for me, I was paying close attention to what the market value for comparable properties were, so that if at some point I wanted to sell it, that I would have a sense of where we'd be selling at. And the comparatives for properties that were of a similar size and structure, obviously not in a dilapidated state, usually most of them were between $450 and $470,000. So, because I know you've been paying attention and you watched the show on refinancing, and you would have watched the show where I spoke about valuations, the difference between what I borrow and what a property can be sold for at market value is what you call the equity in the property. Now, while I don't have an immediate desire to sell this or anything else, I do know that at some point I may want to tap into the equity for this house. It is easier for me as a self-employed person to probably get a refinancing for this, or to get a home equity loan to finance other projects, than it is for me to have to go and break all my blood, sweat and tears and financials to get $100,000, $200,000 for a project. So I like to look at the space there. Now, when I accidentally remove the whole roof, because I'm probably the only person in Barbados that would say that I'm going to replace a ceiling and take off a whole roof, much to the shock and awe of the bank. I put myself in a position where I really had to invest my own money in the property. Now, the bank, before we even signed off on the mortgage, did ask me to demonstrate that if additional funds needed to be placed into the project, that I had it. So before we even signed off on the mortgage, I had demonstrated to them that I had $40,000. Now, truth be told, I had done take that money and spent it on other things, but at the time of presenting the paperwork, I was able to demonstrate. Because I went and spent the money, when we now got to the point where I thought I was going to get the second disbursement, I did not have it. But of course, I cannot tell the bank this, because then we would not be good friends. So I took the money out of my pension, and I would have given $25,000 to the contractor to deal with some other improvements, put on the roof, enclose the property, the garage area, which is what the bank required for me to get the second disbursement. So here we are, we have money. Now, I am being very, very, very careful with this money that I have from the bank. They gave me $40,000. However, the valuation that released that disbursement said that the property would need about $51,000 to bring it to a practical completion. The bank gave me the $40,000 with the understanding, and they looked me good in my eye, that I had the $11,000 to put in. This time they must have figured I good for it, because they asked me nothing. But what I have been doing is that of the 40, I already gave the contractor a significant portion to get the work started here. But I, out of my pocket, have gone and bought the doors, and I've also committed to buying the tiles. A part of the reason that I have done that is I just do not want this bank money to finish too fast. But also, nobody tells you what an awesome responsibility it is in watching a lot of money on your account, especially when it is bank money. Like, we need to talk about that. Like, the day that you get a disbursement, and especially like if you got a big mortgage and you get a disbursement for like $400,000, you know what? Listen, we should all have that feeling of going to the ATM and just seeing $400,000. It is a big responsibility to manage this money. So I say, you know what, Kelly? Send the money where it's supposed to go quickly, because you will start picking at it, because Barbados is full of things and you know your eye can be very big. So I went and I paid down on the tiles. We went to Terrific Tiles. As you know, I had been there I'd been there last year, sorry, and I had my eye on a particular tile. That's when I thought I was very wealthy. When I went back, we purchased the tiles that I can afford, which fortunately were very similar, but I'm just saying, we had to get that bill down by like half. But at least big ups to Terrific Tiles. At least they had enough selection that I did not feel disenfranchised. So I don't have the tiles here at the house. I gave them $4,000, but I do know that the final bill for the tiles, and this is not just floor tiles, this is tiles for the floor, yes, but there's also the wall tiles for the bathroom and the counter tiles and the backsplash tiles. So we're going to come in probably up at around $8,000, but at least I know that my name good in there now. They have some money, so that when I say, look, I need these now, we can activate. A note on tiling: make sure that you get a professional to measure your property for tiles, okay? I know it can be very tempting to take a picture and do like me and say the room is this big and this high, and you take your tape measure and you measure it, but you don't do that. You get a professional, get your tiler, get your contractor, your foreman to measure the space for you, because you are not going to measure for overages. You are not going to measure the walls. You are not going to know how to calculate the space for the counters. You're not going to know how to calculate the space for the backsplash. I know in trying to save money, we try to do some of these things ourselves. People is go to school and learn how to do these things, right? Please let the people do their work. Get the measurements from a professional and take that with you when you go to make your selection, along with all of your Pinterest pictures and inspiration, of course. Now the doors. Now, fortunately, the doors were not as complicated to go and buy. I went to two places. I went to Blades & Williams. A lot of you had recommended them. I also recommended my good people at Barbados Steelworks. Now, clearly, a lot of y'all are out there buying doors, because when I went to Blades & Williams, they were a little low on the exterior doors because they just had a sale, and so they had a real big weekend, because one clearly went in there and buy all of the doors. And then when I went to Steelworks, they actually had more exterior doors than interior doors, but it worked out fine because both honestly had very good service and they had a good quality range of products. So we went shopping in both places. I am happy with what I got. My eye is a little big when it comes to choosing things, because I think I might have chosen doors that were a little pricier than one may have anticipated. But the point is, I paid for them out of my own money and not the bank's money, and they are physically here. So you will see now that the door frames are in. That's because we just want to finish the slicking of the walls before we put them on. So, but they're here. So that's exciting. And I was also able to get the hardware. As you know, we're going with black finishes on everything because it freaks me out when the blocks don't match. So I was very happy to get my black finishes for everything, and seeing those little details are at least, you know, creating that little feeling in my heart that the end is kind of near. I would have shared with you before that the kitchen is being built off plant. It's being done by Crafted by Wood, and the process has started. Now, Shaka, you need to bring back up the image of what this kitchen looked like before. As you all know, this was an older Barbadian home, and I could tell you, based on what I purchased, this was clearly a situation where the fridge was in the dining room. There was no space for no fridge in here. Okay, this was an older home, and like most older structures, improvements are made along the way. So the kitchen was this big, and what we are getting now is a kitchen that's not much bigger. The walls for the kitchen have not moved, but what we have been able to creatively do is create the sense of a bigger kitchen. A wall is going here, and the contractor was actually waiting on the measurement of the appliances so that they can make sure that this wall is wide enough for the fridge, and that this area over here is going to be done with the electricals to the right height for the stove. So remember, we went to Massey Stores and we went and looked at all the people pretty things, and I settled on some Whirlpool appliances with my fancy stove that's open like this and not like that. Well, I have those appliances, we have the measurements, the process has started, and as you can see, the electrician is here now doing the Lord's work. So they just stopped so that we could film, but all the times that you've been with me here before, you would have seen that the electricals were exposed. We are now covering up because the slicking team is coming through. So we get a little action in the place, a little action. If I had $1 for everybody that's asked me about the color that I have chosen for this house, we would not require bank financing. So the next time you ask me about the color that I'm choosing for this house, please give me $5 when you see me, okay? I haven't settled on a color. I thought I did, but to be honest, when I came in here and saw the scaffolding that was required to just slick the upper part of the roof in all of the rooms, I am now back to the drawing board, because now it has shown me that even though color is one of the fastest ways in which you could change up a space, whatever color I choose for in here, I'm clearly going to be living with it for a while. So I have had to put that on pause, but clearly we're operating in extremes, right? And I can tell you that it is either going to be a soft neutral color, or I'm going to share in the stories this some pics of a space that this lady has done where it is full of pinks and purples, and it's overwhelmingly vibrant and gorgeous and well curated. So we can go one of those ways. We're going to be going soft and neutral, or this is going to be overboard. Time will tell where we end up. So remember, this space that we're just walking through was the garage. Now you don't see much of this part of the work, but what is going to go here, the laundry is actually going to go in this area, and I have a very fancy water filtration system coming soon. So I have more things to show you, but this space here is going to be a shared space between the main house and the apartment. I'm going to show you the backyard. A lot of y'all asked what's going on with the apartment. I didn't want to say until this house was further along, because obviously we had a lot of things in it at the time, but we had actually used that apartment for storage. The lot is very small, so there was no room for a container to come down here. We had already encroached on the road with the skip, so we didn't want to be too obnoxious. But now that 99% of everything that was brought down here in terms of material is out, that's what's going on with the apartment. It was a space where the teens that were working on the property would rest during the day, and we're not going to work on it at the same time as this property. Now, I have secured some materials for it, because obviously if you're buying blocks for one, you buy blocks for the other. But in terms of the actual work, I need this property to be done first, because this is what the bank is interested in, because them is not interested with what I do behind here. And that suits me just fine. So y'all have not been in the yard for a while, right? And this was the third thing that sold me on this property, that it had an apartment on it. No, it is not lost on me, all right? That the good people that built this property probably get away with this. But the point is, now that it's here and is able to buy it like this, your girl has a little apartment. In terms of if it will be rented out or if it will be used for some other purpose, I have not completely settled, but we will get this apartment done before the year is out. As I shared, my mortgage for this is comfortable. I'm okay with the $1,200. I don't need to have an offset, but I'm very happy to have the opportunity, should the need arise, if I have a family member coming in on a holiday or anything like that, that there's a space for them. It's also a space for me to work. Anyways, back to the backyard. So remember, this used to be the back door, and there used to be steps, and there was a massive foliage, and there was some sort of wall structure around here, etc. Well, that's all gone. I am excited about the vision in my eye for this backyard space. I'm not a terribly outdoorsy person, so please don't ask me nothing but what plants I bring in down here, okay? I cannot wait to run some pavers all along the back and build a little canopy / pergola-esque thing and have gorgeous outdoor furniture. Now trust me, when this outdoor furniture comes in here, it is going to rival the interior furniture, okay? And I look forward to coming out here with my indoor-outdoor space and reading my books and drinking my tea and sipping my wine. I am going to throw up all the inspo photos, but I love that this space is here and that it can be a shared space between the two units, because obviously whoever is in here, whether they're here for long-term or short-term, they can also enjoy this space. And I just can't wait. To be honest, I'm really looking forward to it. Needless to say, this is an out-of-pocket exercise, but I will try to get at least the paving done with this renovation, largely because I don't want that kind of work to have to go on while I'm back in the house, while I'm physically living here. It's disruptive and I hate concrete dust. If any of y'all ever did a renovation, concrete dust is not of the Lord. You don't want concrete dust coming in your place unnecessarily. So I'll probably get it paved. Of course, it'll be cleaned up, but I am super excited about it. So you've seen what's going on at the house. I hope you're happy, because I know that this is now all a wee house and y'all are taking these updates very seriously. Another thing that I'm so excited about is Bajan Renovation magazine, which, as I shared with you, is in production. It's an extension of what I do professionally. Please do not think for a second that we get up every week with a cell phone and film this show. No, we are a production company at Pivot Productions, and we sometimes manage our own products. This is one of them, and I'm really excited to be able to develop a publication that answers all the questions that you ask. So maybe in an upcoming episode, I'll show you what is going into the publication so you too can get a sneak peek on that. But for now, I'm Kelly Johnley, and this is Bajan Renovation.